The eyes of the evangelical world are now fixated on one man, Gabriel Swaggart. With Jimmy Swaggart aging and Donnie Swaggart stepping into the background, the next chapter of the Swaggart dynasty is being written right now. But is Gabriel ready to shoulder the burden of an empire built on sermons, scandals, songs, and salvation? Or is he simply being groomed as a puppet for deeper forces still lurking behind the curtain? This is the story the church doesn't want to tell. From the Baton Rouge megachurch to the living rooms of millions who grew up watching Sun Life Broadcasting Network, the Swaggart name has been both revered and reviled. Now, with the patriarch nearing the twilight of his life, Gabriel's rise sparks hope in some and suspicion in others. Gabriel has always been known as the youthful face of the ministry, clean-cut, eloquent, and media-savvy. He's delivered sermons that trend on YouTube, built up Crossfire Ministries to reach younger audiences, and kept a polite distance from some of the more controversial shadows in his family history. But behind the scenes, whispers suggest that not everything is as it seemed. One former staff member who spoke on the condition of anonymity claimed, Gabriel never had a choice. He was always the chosen one, not because he was called, but because he was convenient. For years, Donnie Swaggart was considered the natural heir to Jimmy's empire. He preached with fire, inherited his father's distinctive vocal cadence, and even mirrored his father's fall and redemption narrative. Yet, somewhere along the way, Donnie began to lose favor, not just with viewers but internally as well. Allegations about temperament, marriages, and mounting tensions within the family reportedly nudged leadership to look elsewhere. Enter Gabriel. On the surface, Gabriel fits the modern mold. He understands branding, appeals to millennials and General Z, and knows how to curate a public image. His Instagram and Twitter feeds are carefully manicured. His sermons feature slick graphics and targeted themes. He rarely, if ever, addresses the scandals that rocked his grandfather's ministry in the 1980s and 90s. But critics argue that Gabriel's rise is more about optics than anointing. He's polished, sure, says a retired member of the SBN board. But does he have the spiritual depth? Jimmy built this empire on raw conviction, on weeping at the altar, on breaking down mid-sermon because of the weight of sin. Gabriel's got lights, cameras, and hashtags. But does he have the spirit? This question, this haunting, recurring doubt, is what keeps many in the congregation whispering. It's no secret that Jimmy Swaggart Ministries, JSM, has always been a tightly run family operation. Frances Swaggart has managed finances and media, Donnie has carried the preaching mantle, and now Gabriel seems poised to inherit the throne. But dynasties, especially in the religious world, rarely pass without internal friction. Sources close to the ministry describe heated closed-door meetings in recent years. Donnie allegedly resisted the idea of his son taking over completely. Frances, however, has reportedly become one of Gabriel's most vocal supporters. Some insiders say she sees in him the continuation of the Swaggart brand, a brand she helped protect for decades, especially during the dark days when Jimmy's transgressions nearly tore the ministry apart. Frances allegedly once said, "Gabriel has the poise of Jimmy without the risk," a loaded statement, if true. But that brings us to the central question. Is Gabriel truly leading, or is he simply performing? Multiple staff members have hinted at the existence of a strategic council within JSM. This internal committee, believed to be composed of longtime family confidants, financial advisors, and media heads, reportedly approves every major move Gabriel makes. Sermon topics, public statements, media appearances, even his wardrobe, are allegedly discussed at length. This doesn't sit well with many longtime followers. When Jimmy preached, you knew it came from him, from his gut, from his soul, says one viewer from Oklahoma who's followed the ministry for over 30 years. With Gabriel, I feel like I'm watching a show. It's too clean, too rehearsed. But not everyone agrees. Supporters of Gabriel point to the massive growth in online engagement, his ability to connect with the youth, and his consistent emphasis on the gospel message. He may not cry at the pulpit like his grandfather, but he's reaching hearts just the same, said one fan during a live Facebook discussion. There's also no denying that the ministry is evolving. Under Gabriel's leadership, Crossfire Ministries has grown exponentially. Young adults are filling pews again. SBN's digital outreach has exploded. Collaborations with newer Christian artists and preachers are on the rise. There's a freshness, a relevance, that the ministry hasn't seen in years. But with relevance comes risk. Older congregants worry that the essence of the gospel is being diluted, that theology is taking a backseat to technology, that showmanship is replacing sincerity. Then there's the question of legacy. Jimmy Swaggart's name is synonymous with televangelism. He pioneered a movement, fell from grace, and clawed his way back with the help of family and faith. Can Gabriel, born into privilege, groomed in studio lights, and surrounded by handlers, truly grasp the weight of that legacy? Is he being prepared to carry the cross, or just to carry the brand? The answer, perhaps, lies in a private moment captured during a behind-the-scenes documentary clip that briefly aired on SBN before being removed. In the clip, Gabriel is seen alone in the sanctuary late at night. The lights are dim. He stands at the pulpit, not preaching, just looking, staring, almost haunted. A producer can be heard off camera asking, "You good, Gabe?" Gabriel doesn't answer at first. Then he whispers, "Just wondering if I'm enough." The clip vanished within 24 hours. But that single moment may be the most honest thing the ministry has ever shown. In a world built on appearances, curated perfection, and generational expectation, Gabriel Swaggart stands at a precipice. The weight of a legacy rests on his shoulders. Some say he's ready. Others say he's being propped up. A puppet with golden string. What's certain is this: the next chapter of Jimmy Swaggart Ministries won't be written by Jimmy or Donnie. It will be written by Gabriel or by those pulling the strings behind him. And only time will reveal if he was truly called or just cast. The baton has been passed, or has it? For decades, the name Swaggart has echoed through sanctuaries, radio waves, and television screens across America and beyond. From fiery altar calls to soul-stirring gospel music, the Swaggart name built an empire. But now, the spotlight shifts to the younger generation. With Jimmy Swaggart's health in question, and Donnie Swaggart stepping aside, all eyes have turned to one man, Gabriel Swaggart. But the pressing question on everyone's mind isn't just when Gabriel will take over. It's if he's truly ready, or merely a well-dressed puppet of the old guard. The shadow of a giant. You can't talk about Gabriel Swaggart without confronting the towering legacy of his grandfather. Jimmy Swaggart wasn't just a preacher, he was a force of nature. Born in 1935, he rose from the dust of Faraday, Louisiana, and carved his name into the very bones of American televangelism. His sermons pierced hearts. His music moved millions. His scandals, they shook the earth. But through it all, Jimmy remained in power, both feared and revered. Now that the patriarch is fading from the pulpit, the torch hangs in midair. And it's not Donnie reaching for the reluctant middleman. Why Donnie said no. It shocked many longtime followers. Donnie Swaggart, the only child of Jimmy and Frances, made it publicly clear, "I can't handle this empire." Whether it was burnout, family pressure, or private tensions that spilled too far, Donnie made a choice, and that choice was not to lead. In closed circles, whispers spread of arguments between Donnie and Frances. Some say Donnie wanted more reform. Others say Frances pushed Gabriel forward behind the scenes, maneuvering every step of the way. Whatever the truth, the result was clear. Gabriel was selected. From worship leader to crown prince. Gabriel's rise within the ministry wasn't sudden. He was groomed. For years, he led the music, ran youth conferences, and hosted programs on the Son Life Broadcasting Network. His clean image, articulate voice, and polished demeanor made him a PR dream. But critics say that's all he is. A well-trained actor in a spiritual theater. Puppet or prophet? That's the real question. Behind closed doors, former staff members have anonymously alleged that Gabriel lacks the fire his grandfather once wielded. "He's nice," one former employee said, "but he's not a leader." Frances still calls the shots. Donnie still handles key decisions. Gabe is a front. Yet supporters fiercely disagree. To them, Gabriel represents hope, healing, and a modern future. One congregant said, "He connects with my kids and my grandkids. Jimmy was for our generation. Gabriel is for theirs." Frances Swaggart, the queenmaker. Let's not pretend Frances isn't involved. For decades, she has been the iron hand behind the throne. From managing finances to vetting leadership choices, her fingerprints are everywhere. Insiders say Frances personally mentored Gabriel, not just in faith but in strategy. Some even argue she orchestrated Donnie's exit, a soft exile in exchange for family unity. Is Gabriel leading, or simply executing Frances's decades-old playbook? The money machine must keep running. Let's not forget, Jimmy Swaggart Ministries is a financial giant. Son Life Broadcasting Network reaches millions globally. Their publishing arm sells thousands of Bibles. Camp meetings draw crowds from across the country. This isn't just a ministry, it's a multi-million-dollar operation. And keeping the money flowing requires leadership. Vision, charisma, business acumen. Does Gabriel have it? Some say yes. He's already modernized the youth outreach. He's leaned into digital platforms, expanding the reach far beyond what Jimmy or Donnie could have imagined. But others say it's all smoke and mirrors. It's just lipstick on a relic, one insider said. Gabriel may look new, but everything behind the scenes runs like it's 1987. What about doctrine? The real test of leadership in a ministry like this isn't just management, it's the message. Gabriel preaches the cross, just like Jimmy, just like Donnie. But some longtime followers feel his sermons are too polished, too safe. One YouTube comment reads, "Jimmy preached with tears." Gabriel reads from a teleprompter. Still, there are moments where Gabriel shows fire. In one memorable sermon he shouted, "We will not compromise with the world. This gospel will never change." The crowd roared. The Spirit moved, and for a fleeting moment, everyone saw a glimpse of the past, revived in the future. The burden of being a Swaggart. Being born into legacy is both a blessing and a curse. Gabriel didn't ask to carry this name. He didn't create the scandals. He didn't build the empire. But now he must either lead it or let it collapse. With social media, podcasts, and critics at every turn, his path will never be easy. Every mistake will be public, every sermon dissected. And unlike his grandfather, Gabriel doesn't have the freedom to fail. Is he ready? There's no simple answer. Leadership is never clean. Some days Gabriel shines. He preaches with authority. He inspires. He uplifts. Other days he seems weighed down, unsure, shadowed by ghosts of the past. But one thing is certain. The people are watching. They're watching to see if the empire will fall or rise. In Gabriel's hands lies not just the future of a ministry, but the reputation of a name, a family, and a belief system carried through. Is he ready? Maybe, maybe not.